It is lights out and away we go. Hello, racers. Welcome back to the Hard or Soft F1 podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Huff, joined as always by my Canadian co-host, RJ McCullough. We're back after a little bit of a break. I'm going to just quickly tell you why it's been a little bit of a gap between our usual episode release time. We're pretty good about releasing an episode every single week, but I'm not sure if I mentioned it. I actually think I might have mentioned it on the show. I went to a family reunion, and of course, at said reunion, I caught the flu. And my flu was so severe that I was coughing so much, and I tore a muscle in my back. And also, it's either, I guess it's a muscle spare or a muscle spasm, I guess you could call it. But yeah, incredible pain. I can laugh about it now, but yeah, it was not very fun. I wasn't even it was so bad I couldn't even play video games. So we have not really played much F1. It's just been a hell of a week, but thankfully recovery and medicine, thankfully modern medicine is an amazing thing. But yeah, that caused us to have to take just a little bit of a break. Thankfully, RJ's been very understanding with my medical issues. Grandpa's got a bad back. But we're very glad to be back for episode 80 of the Hard or Soft F1 podcast. And there's been quite a bit of news to come down the pipe since our last episode. I mean, our last episode was kind of the end of season, not a review, but sort of recapping post finale, I guess. But I guess the last thing we mentioned last week, we had discussed that we had started the Brawn GP documentary, and I've managed to watch all 4 long episodes in that long span of time. But I want to get your thoughts on the documentary and what you thought sort of as Keanu Reeves, the subject, the flow of the documentary. Just what were your thoughts?
I mean, overall, I think it was really good. It's a great story. They had all the main people involved being interviewed or talking about it. The footage and everything they got was really good. I think kind of alluded to it earlier, but Keanu Reeves was just, it was a little off-putting. He's a very good actor. He's, from all accounts, a good guy and a humanitarian, but he's not a good interviewer. He is a terrible interviewer. It was kind of a little cringy at times. He would just be looking in a weird place or over dramatize every sentence. It was a little awkward at times. I don't know why they don't even show the person interviewing, but they always had a 2-shot. You could always see him asking the questions. Usually it's just focused on the person being interviewed. But aside from that, I mean, really cool story. There was a few things I didn't really know that were in there, like how close Rubens was to winning. I don't know if he would have won if he had that tire puncture. I think if he didn't have that tire puncture, I don't know about that. I haven't really done the math on the points because I don't know what the points were like back then, because I think he would have won and Jensen then would have finished 6th, and I think he needed to finish 5th. But I guess it was past him already, so maybe he would have finished 2nd. I don't know. But that was interesting. And then I'd forgotten about the what's his name? The guy that's trying to get his championship back.
Oh, Felipe Massa.
Yeah, I forgot about his that accident that happened that year where they're pretty unlucky. Was it a pebble or a rock of some sort hit his helmet? And they showed the helmet. It was pretty fucked up. Yeah.
I think it was a piece of the Brawn car, actually, a spring that had bounced off,
spring.
Which
it was a spring.
Extra. Yeah.
And they showed it was a fucking
just extra
spring.
Bad luck.
Yeah.
Scary. I can't imagine. I mean, thank God for modern day helmets. I mean, if he had been, I think he said something like, if he had been wearing a helmet from 2 decades before, he probably would be dead, or not worse, but he wouldn't be in the same condition he's in, able to walk away with minimal damage. So yeah, that was scary.
Yeah, but to be his fellow countryman Rubens, to be the one that, obviously it was not on purpose by any chance of the imagination, but just to be the one that's car the piece came off of, he felt obviously felt pretty awful about it. So pretty interesting stuff. I mean, the year, I guess I didn't realize a few things about that they had the whole season before to kind of develop the car for the next season. And then they came out strong, and then everyone, especially Red Bull, started to really catch up. It was interesting to see all of the Christian Horner when he was younger. It was kind of interesting to see that. And but all the people on Brawn that have now, like, obviously Mercedes is the one that bought them and they turned into Mercedes, but like James Allison and all the, like, Andrew Stovlin or whatever, how would you say it? There's just like a bunch of people throughout that was like, oh shit, they're still with Mercedes, or spread throughout F1 now. So yeah, it was really, really cool. What did you think of it?
I completely agree with you about Keanu Reeves. I mean, I like Keanu Reeves. It's just, there's just some of the scenes were just so, I mean, the first episode, to be fair, probably had like the most like cringiest moment where, like, I can't even say cringe. It's almost cringe for me for Keanu Reeves, just because, I don't know, it just didn't feel like, it felt like they were trying to ham it up too much. Like Ross Brawn recreating him walking into the boardroom and then them sitting down, and then they're talking to Keanu Reeves, and then they just conduct the interview like normal. They did that the whole time, like so many times where it's just Keanu. And they also, I don't know if it was like the perspective of the camera, but he's like always sat like almost too close to them.
Yeah,
like he could poke their face if he wanted to, like way too close. Learned. I mean, for sure, the story itself, I'm so glad that it's able to be told now, sort of now with the knowledge that and the perspective of all these guys. Also, I don't know why before I watched the documentary, I thought Bernie Ecclestone had died. I thought he was not alive anymore, but he's still alive. He's just not.
Is he?
The owner of, I believe so.
He died too.
I false reporting by me, I guess. I could have sworn when I started that documentary, I was like, wait a minute, when did they film this? And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, he's still alive.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, I mean, it was very interesting. I mean, he is big time.
I can say it because he's still alive.
Yeah, we're not speaking ill of the dead yet. But
he was such a dick the entire time.
He was.
That's per usual.
Yeah, that whole situation with him and I forget the guy's name, but the other guy, I didn't even know that the teams had threatened to form their own F1 league. I mean, that whole dynamic of the documentary was so fascinating to me. I mean, anytime you're getting like a lot of behind the scenes video and you're getting a look into the past in F1, I mean, it's so that's why I recommend Senna and Schumacher on Netflix. Both of those are so good, just because at the very least, it's such an amazing piece of history that you're getting to just watch in really, really amazing quality. The same goes for this documentary as well. Dude, I mean, if I had watched that season live, I think I would have personally wanted Rubens to win, but Jenson Button just came out of the gate so strong, getting all those wins. I mean,
you wouldn't have been rooting for Seb?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess I would definitely still love Red Bull. Yeah, you got me. I would, if I had to choose though, I think I would, just because, I don't know, him coming back after, not getting a win for so long. That was a great moment. My favorite moment in the documentary is when they're just going through Jensen's reign of just domination, and it's still really early in the season, and then it ends the episode, I think, or whatever the case, and it says Jenson Button does not win another race for the remainder of the season. My jaw dropped. I was like, holy shit, I did not know that. And he did win that by the skin of his teeth. I mean, 2 more races on the calendar and it would have gone to Lewis, or unlikely Rubens, but probably Lewis. Who knows? But
or even Jensen's dad was pretty cool too. Like seeing him.
Oh yes,
yeah,
that was very cool. Shocked they have karting video from that long ago. That's wild.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. But yeah, the relationship and everything, like how his dad was pretty hands off with him, but just supported him. He wasn't like a Jos Verstappen, or even to an extent, like Lewis's dad was pretty like tough on him. So yeah, it was nice to see.
We have
parenting.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's time.
I was just gonna say there's I have some briefly to talk about involving Jos. Actually, I can go ahead and bring that up.
Yeah, let's bring up that scumbag.
In Karun Chandok, I don't know if he was like on the podcast. I just watched or read the excerpt from the article. He said that in Qatar, that he had a conversation with Jos Verstappen, and apparently after Sergio Perez won in Baku, that Max sort of had a breaking point almost and was beyond livid and basically was just having a really hard time and said to his dad, I'm not going to let him win another race the rest of the year. And he didn't. He beat him every race for the rest of the season. So
that's crazy.
I mean, again, yes, like you said, he is an asshole, but I mean, that is that is the son he raised. I mean, 100%. So it's just a little interesting excerpt about Max.
He's a savage, but maybe things will change. Maybe. Gotta pray.
It's possible.
Can't be any more spread than it was last year. I mean, it's almost a low point in our Formula One fandom. We need it to be a little better. I think it will be.
Oh yeah.
I mean, obviously we're going to think it is, but let's talk about something else. See what you think of this one. Zak Brown claims that McLaren has the strongest driver pairing. I'll let you answer what you think before I say.
Gosh, that's tough. I think it's a bold thing to say. I think it's a team principal who's extremely confident in his racers. I mean, I'm going to say no, only because even though Lando and Oscar are two extremely talented drivers, they did not work as a team well enough for me to say that they're the best driver pairing as far as working together as a team and as a pair. I would rate them very high, but not number one, I don't think.
Yeah, no, me neither. I think, well, I don't know. There's two things. Am I surprised that Zak Brown said this? No, not at all. Like, obviously he's going to say this. I think it's like, I don't know. Unless there's a team I'm not thinking of, it's kind of a three-way tie somewhat between, or three-way decision between McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari. Max on his own is almost the best pairing in F1, but Checo drops that down, obviously. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's if you were to say like 5 years from now, they'll probably be the best pairing if they both stay at McLaren. But at the moment, I'd probably take Lewis and George, or even Charles and Charles and Carlos.
It's been a few weeks, guys. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, names aren't coming to the head today. But yeah, in the top three, I don't think it's like an outlandish, crazy statement to make. Sorry, I'm just looking something up.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's if anything, like I said, it speaks to his confidence in his guys, and I mean, McLaren. It seems like they're absolutely getting it together. I know their team principal hasn't been with them like that long, but just the progress they made in 2023 alone. I mean, where they're finishing in the standings, their wind tunnel time, for sure, it's a possibility that they're going to come back even stronger next year. So they could be the best driver pairing next year. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't even think he was talking about best in terms of like getting points. I think he was just talking about like best in terms of talent.
Yeah.
Which if Oscar Piastri, that's what I mean. In 5 years, those two could be, but not
absolutely
right now. What's next? Guenther Steiner, Mr. High. I was trying to think of any sort of clever segue, but again, it didn't come to the brain. So he's expecting major driver moves at the beginning of 2024. Oh, sorry. I thought this was at the end of 2024. So he's expecting it at the beginning, because I was going to say there's like $1 billion contracts expiring in 2024. Sergio Perez, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, Logan Sargent, Valtteri Bottas, Guan Yu Zhou, Daniel Ricciardo, Yuki Tsunoda, Kevin Magnussen, and Nico Hülkenberg. All of those guys expire at the end. But Guenther saying he's expecting moves at the beginning of 2024 is rather interesting. I think it's kind of a weird time to make a driver move. Maybe he means like at the summer break, or I don't know. Like, what do you think he meant by this, and who do you think's on the proverbial hot seat?
I think it could be. I don't know if it was like the translation that messed up, but I think he might mean that we're gonna hear about, like, for instance, if Ocon is getting signed. This is just a complete guess. If Ocon is getting signed with Aston Martin, they might drop that very early Nico Hulkenberg to Audi, or F1 Team Steak Sauber, Steak F1 Team Kick Sauber, excuse me. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But I think he just means that because we're locked in at the start of 2024. But I mean, obviously, Sergio Perez's seat has been a huge talking point. But as far as we know, he's going to be locked in that seat for the entirety of next year. I do think he's potentially insinuating that they're going to announce that Niko could be signed with Alfa Romeo. I'm not going to say the full name. For now, we're just going to say Alfa Romeo because we don't officially know the name yet. Because that's been a big rumor that Niko is going to join the team in 2025, start development for when Audi fully takes over in 2026, because they have themselves said that they have a lot of interest in signing Niko. And Guenther himself said that he, in a weird tone shift from when they fired Mick Schumacher, obviously everybody remembers that, he said that they're not opposed to signing a rookie in one of their seats in 2024. No, sorry, 2025. Obviously not 2024, which when he said that, I was just like, that's kind of weird because it seems like they've fully sworn off hiring rookies after obviously taking Mick and Nikita in the same season, and it did not turn out well at all. Seems like having Kevin and Niko is, even though they're still nowhere as a team, they're getting, pole for K-Mag. These moments are not going to, and Niko making it to Q3 so many times, that's not going to happen with a rookie in a Haas, at least how they've performed the last 7 years at least. So
yeah,
I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't know if there's any good rookies even. I don't mean to say good rookies, but like Theo Pourchaire, I don't know if he would go to Haas. I think if there's any like really hot up and coming guys, really hot guys coming up, they wouldn't necessarily want to go to Haas. Sorry to Haas, but it's not like the best option out there on the grid.
Not at all.
Seems as though like Niko got the most of it out of the car during qualifying, but they just had no sustainability during the race. So I don't think the drivers, whether they're top of the pack or not, I don't think the drivers are really the issue over at Haas.
No, I completely agree.
There's, something else has got to change if they're going to get back in. And they've had their moments over the last 2 years, but never really anything more than a week or two here and there. So
yeah, some exciting moments sprinkled in, just a disastrous couple of seasons.
Yeah, indeed. So we mentioned that Zak Brown thinks that the McLaren has the strongest driver. Lando Norris was ranked third strongest driver. Now, where did you see this? And that was third ranked like over the course of this past season, or
yes,
third ranked on the grid?
So third ranked for the performance of 2023. So basically, okay. I think I can pull it up. I'm going to be looking off camera just for a second as I pull it up, but they sort of they ranked every single driver, and I think they were like releasing like a driver a day or something like that. They were like the whole list didn't come out at once at least. And another sort of big talking point was that Sergio Perez was actually ranked the worst driver, which I thought was right. That was my first thought, but then
he won races.
It's the article is from racefans.net.
Okay, so relatively reputable.
Yeah.
So I would guess Max number 1.
Yep.
Lewis number 2.
No.
Fernando Alonso number 2.
Correct.
And then
Lando.
Lando ahead of Lewis. Well,
yes. I don't have the full list in front of me. I'm trying to pull it up. You're gonna dislike this even more. Leclerc is 4th. So Lewis Hamilton. I need to find out where he plays.
Take back what I said about the reputation or the reputability, if that's the word, about racefans.net.
It's a bullshit website.
Yeah. No longer checking that website for stories.
I wish I could see the full list. They post individual articles for... Oh, here we go. Lewis Hamilton is 5th. So not too far off. He's at least in the top 5. But then you've got Alexander Albon. I mean,
Sorry,
that's
go ahead.
exactly. No, you speak your truth, sir. I
It's been
completely
spoken.
agree with you. I mean, I feel like Lewis, honestly, the only negative I can think of Lewis is when he tapped into George, but that's arguably not even Lewis's fault. So I think fifth place rating Lando over Lewis is crazy to me. If
agree.
Lewis had taken P2 from Checo, he would have been rated the second best driver of all. I mean, not of all time. Sorry, of the season. I'm getting ahead of myself.
I think he's already up there, maybe second best of all time, arguably first.
I rate Lewis as the greatest of all time. Personally, yeah.
Not Max. Oh.
No, Max is not the greatest of all time yet. Do I think he could reach?
Greatest
He could be
driver,
in
no.
the argument.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. I mean,
greatest drivers.
the Schumacher. I'm not going to debate Schumacher and Lewis, but you cannot not call Lewis the GOAT, even if you don't like Mercedes.
Agreed.
I know
Right.
you do.
Yeah, I'm not taking my statement on that anymore. Something I do not like, though, smooth transition, is the new, arguably the worst team name in F1 history. And a few minutes ago, I was looking up worst team names in F1 history because I was wanting to say, okay, it's not as bad as blank. And the worst one I could find, none of them are that bad, is Zak Speed. Z or Z, as you say. AKSPED. P-E-E-D. Yeah. So Zak Speed is the worst one I could come up with. I think this new one is worse. It is Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber. Now, I assume they'll just go by Sauber.
Yeah,
But
I mean, wow.
is that the worst team name of all time? That is what Alfa Romeo has switched to.
The Zaxby?
Zak Speed.
Zak Speed.
S-P-E-D.
Oh, Zak Speed. Okay.
Yeah.
They should have been sponsored by Zaxby's. That would have been a match made in heaven.
Oh,
I like that name more than Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber. I mean,
Yeah. It's just
Magic
doesn't roll off the
Crofty
tongue.
just saying that. Coming around the first corner, Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber. Valtteri Bottas in the Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber. It's like, oh my God.
Not good.
And they put out a press release because so many people were talking about the name and kind of how ridiculous it is. And they alluded to basically saying, hey, this isn't necessarily the final name. And some people are taking that as it could be longer. But to me, I'm thinking they might shorten it just a little bit.
Right.
I don't know. Is Kick
I think they're
or
going to change it to
Stake?
STK Sauber or SK Sauber, but I guess whoever Stake is and whoever Kick is, they probably paid a ton of money to have their name on it. So
Yep.
I guess I instantly retract my statement again. I guess they can't really do that. So I don't know if they just word it differently. Team Stake, Team Kick Stake. I don't know. Now it sounds like something on a menu at like.
Yeah, we're
Montana's
going to get the
or
Team Kick Steak.
Yeah.
Holy
Team
shit.
Kick Steak. Yeah.
They need to get an Aussie in there. Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully, actually, I believe they're putting out. Monday is Christmas, so I don't know if they're doing it Monday, but allegedly we should hear soon. Unlike AlphaTauri, because allegedly they're not going to be revealing the name of that until January. So we got a little bit of a wait for that.
Yeah.
Apparently, Racing Bulls is on the top of the contending list still. Racing Bulls.
Yes, bulls. We're
The
from Red
bulls.
Bull to Racing Bulls. Is that the plural
but
of
I've-
bull?
Bulls?
I think I went over this last week, but
You might have, but I don't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah, is bull like goose?
I guess
look at all
Chicago
those.
Bulls.
Look at all those bulls.
It is maybe.
Oh yeah, you're right. The Chicago Bulls. That doesn't make sense. It's definitely not. Look at all those bull.
Yeah. Look at that bull. run.
We're gonna go run with the bull.
Yeah.
That just makes me think
we're
of a
very
group of
smart
people
on this
running with one
podcast.
bull. Yes, we are. We're gonna put that to the test because I want you to guess what you think is the top 3. I've got
Okay.
the top 10 most wins in Formula One by nation. So I've got the top 10. I'll run through them at the end, but obviously all drivers come from different nationalities.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You might think they're all from a certain country, which may or may not be number one, but you might be wrong. What do you think is the top 3 nations that have had Formula One wins?
All right. Well, Formula One is a sport of dominance, so I'm going to go by who I think has the most wins individually, which aside from there's like Lewis, Schumacher, Vettel has a lot of wins, and Max, but not a lot of. So I'm going to say Germany.
That's one of your top 3?
Yeah. Germany is one of the top 3.
Okay. It's
Britain,
not number 1.
Okay. Britain/UK, or whatever, England, it falls under.
Correct.
And number 3, Brazil.
You got all 3. Look at you. Do you want to go for the top? The other 4th and 5th are very difficult.
No thanks. I'll stop right now.
Yeah, I mean, go 3 for 3. That's impressive. Yes. The United Kingdom, staggeringly 308 wins. Believe it or not, over 100 of those are from one guy. He's pretty cool.
Oh, I believe it.
Number 2, Germany with 179. Another German fella got a lot of those wins, but not near 100. I'll tell you that. And then number 3, Brazil with just over 100, 101, followed by France with 81, then Finland, 57. Then we got Maxi Boy. He's got most of these. The Netherlands with 54, Italy, 43, Australia, 43, Austria with 41, and then lastly, Argentina with 38. So all I'm seeing is that our countries need to kick it up a notch. And I'm counting Mexico. Our whole continent needs to step it up.
Now, if you were to look at that list, maybe, I don't know how far it goes down, but if you were to look at Canada versus America, I wonder who has more?
Canada definitely is whooping America's ass. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And, yeah, the Villeneuves have done a lot. Gilles and Jacques.
Yeah, some Canadian legends right there.
Yeah,
I love Jacques Villeneuve.
Yeah. Weird hair guy, but yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Throughout the years. What do we got next? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Bahrain. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. I don't know if this was something that was very recently done or if this happened sometime over the course of the season, but McLaren sold, I think they now have sold 50% of the stake in their company to Bahrain investors. I added investors in the article itself. It just said to Bahrain. So I don't know if it's like people that are like representatives of the country. Yeah, the country of Bahrain owns half of McLaren. So, which nothing's changing. Obviously, Zak Brown, I don't think they're keen on getting rid of him anytime soon or the drivers. And I don't think the actual management is changing at all because I think they're selling like just enough to where they still have majority stake. But yeah, whether you think it's a good thing or not, the Middle East has a big foot in F1, a big one.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what type of investors this is. If it's sort of like the Saudi PIF fund, then I would be against it. If it's just an individual, kind of the same line we've taken in general with all the Middle Eastern investment, where if it's just like an individual or a company that is just out there making money, wants to sponsor, then absolutely be my guest. But if it's some sort of comes from a bad place, then we'd like to keep that out of F1 as much as possible. It seems kind of inevitable at this point, but it's kind of becoming an issue in all of sports.
FIFA, F1, so many sports. Got a lot of corruption, unfortunately. We need a guy like VJ Malay. We need him to come back, or we need a character like that. Lawrence Stroll doesn't do it for me. We need a bigger character, someone who has more pride in his team. He was the racing or Force India.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in the early season
that got
Drive to Survive.
Arrested for like fraud or something, but
that's him.
Oh, yeah,
that's
what we need.
Yeah.
Or bring that guy that sponsored Haas with the fake energy drink. Remember that guy?
Oh God, Rich Energy, yes.
Yeah, Rich Energy.
Jesus
Christ.
That guy's
scammed like a bunch of other people, but a bunch of things. So
he's after Ryan Reynolds.
Still going. That pops up like once a year. Like Rich Energy invests in blank. The year later, Rich Energy declares bankruptcy.
Everybody's like, no,
defrauds.
don't do it.
Yeah, but good old Haas, they'll take that money.
They'll take it from anyone,
Yeah.
except Russians now.
Right, that's correct. No more Russians. And good news, though, we have some team launch dates. Becomes a big talking point over the season or the off season, and then once the season starts, I guess it really doesn't matter that much. But it is something to highly anticipate during the off season. Not gonna lie, I get pretty hyped for it. Some of the production of the reveals are comically bad sometimes.
Oh yeah,
But we have two teams that have announced their livery launch dates, as far as we know. Williams February 5th and Ferrari February 13th. So less than 2 months away. Not too bad.
I'm excited.
I think
Williams are going to be one of the earlier teams.
let's see when Bahrain testing is in 2024. Bahrain testing F1 2024. Come on, Dan. Ooh. February 21st to 23rd is when the Bahrain testing is. So
Ooh,
not bad.
just over a week for Ferrari. It's a little close, but
Yeah, but that's good. That's not too far away. I guess the first race will be like beginning of March, but hey, it's a pretty short off season considering how much they have to travel during the year.
Big time. I mean, they're already hard at work on the next car. They've got less than 3 months or not even like less than 2 months basically to have a ready car or to at least have something to show people. Way less than 2 months. Yeah.
There's
I
been a lot
don't
of
envy the
rumors.
engineers.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's been a lot of rumors about this always happens at the off season, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. But Ferrari basically changing 95% of their car for next year. Mercedes apparently having good results in the simulator with their new concept, I guess you could say, for 2024. But they also said that going into 2022 with the no side pods, and obviously it did not translate from the simulator to the track. So we shall see, but all we can hope for, because Red Bull is also going to make advances going into next year as well. So all we can hope for is at least one of Mercedes, McLaren, or Ferrari. Maybe Aston Martin, but probably not as likely as the other ones. As long as at least one of those teams gets closer, significantly closer to Red Bull, we got something to look forward to. So
Absolutely.
I think this will probably be, it will be our last episode before Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone out there. We will be back I assume it'll be next week. You never know unless something comes up, but we're going to
break
next
my
week
neck.
Yeah, I was going to say unless something happens with Adrian, but I didn't want to put that on you. But yeah, we're going to do our season review next. We're going to record it some point this week or next week, put it out for you guys. So look forward to that. Any last comments, Mr. Adrian Huff?
Just excited for the race review, the full season
review.
recap. We're going to be giving out awards for certain categories. We're going to be giving certain top 3. We're doing the whole thing, you guys. So make sure you
we'll
tune
go
in
over
next
our
week.
predictions and how bad they were,
Oh yes, and then
because we have our entire grid of predictions.
and then we're going to recap. We're going to do the final score for our fantasy teams as well,
Uh-huh.
which we full on gave up with halfway through this past season because Max just blew it out of the water and it was just over. So we'll give you the final
Imagine
scores
someone
on that
had the
as
chance
well.
to pick Max first and didn't do it.
I know. Imagine how that Max fan feels now.
Yeah, real fan.
God. Yeah. You've bought me most of my merch for him. So
No, trying to get a little more animosity going here, but you won't take the bait.
I'm too nice of a guy.
Yeah.
I don't like fighting. I don't want to argue.
I don't want to argue. All right. Well, make sure to check out our TikTok and everything. If you want to support the podcast, we do have a sponsor. I'm not going to go through the ad read right now, but one of Adrian and I will be posting pretty much like a walkthrough of how to support the podcast through our sponsor. And yeah, as we said, we'll be back for the season review. I think that is all I have to say. I mean, Adrian, want to send us off?
I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching and or listening, and we'll see you next week.